my phone. Is that Tasha? Marhaba, how are you? Good. Can you please sign in? Thank you. I don't think it's a little bit, but that's okay. All right, we're live for the live broadcast on Facebook for our families that weren't able to join us, but I'm going to give a few more minutes for all other families that have confirmed coming in person before we begin the session. But later on, it'll just be a couple of minutes and we'll get started. But later on, if you want to go back and just review what we talked about, come back with more questions, it'll actually be live on Facebook for everyone. Just a couple minutes and we'll get started.
HES Academies have been serving the Detroit metro area for over 23 years, promoting academic excellence, leadership, and cultural diversity, ranking as some of the top schools in the state of Michigan. Our pre-K through 12th grade students enjoy tuition-free, state-accredited education by STEM certified and highly qualified staff with no geographical restrictions, and with advanced placement, college dual enrollment, scholarship, and Arabic language programs. Noor International Academy in Sterling Heights at niapsa.org, Star International Academy in Dearborn Heights and in Canton at starpsa.org, Universal Academy in Detroit at universalpsa.org, and Universal Learning Academy in Westland at ULA.
You can just take it to your seat, settle down, and we'll go ahead and get started momentarily. إذا بس بدكم تاخدوا الورقة, this way you guys are not having to stand. It'll go around to you. Wonderful. بس فيكي تعطيها للصبايا لو سمحتي. Wonderful. Okay, wonderful. So the goal of today's session, and I'll be alternating between English and Arabic to the best of my ability today, so that everyone gets a little bit of this information, very, very critical information. As you know, we shared during orientation with all families that ULA and all other schools in the state of Michigan will be implementing what we call an ALICE drill and simulation. Technically, you're going to be hearing ALICE terminology a lot from now until forever, because this has been added to the safety plans for all schools across the state of Michigan. ALICE stands for alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and basically evacuate. Hi, how are you? Come on in. Yeah, you can just sign in and then take any seat you'd like. So we'll be hearing ALICE terminology a lot this year and the upcoming years as well. ALICE basically is a safety training in the event of active shooter or an intruder in the building. As you all know, as parents, you've all been up to date about many of the incidents and active shooting that has taken place in the state of Michigan, in the elementary schools, in high schools, in colleges. And so as part of a proactive measure, all schools now across the state are training students, informing families, training staff on the ALICE simulation and the ALICE drill. Let me give you a little bit of background of what happened last year. Last year, I want to say that the majority of all staff members that currently are with us have been trained on ALICE. We went through several informational sessions up until we actually went through a real simulation where each and every staff member in this building went through a simulation of an active shooter in the building. We went through several scenarios, and those scenarios included where we had to either evacuate the building, or we had to barricade in a certain classroom, or we had to do just a traditional lockdown. This year, all of the new teachers and all of the new staff members that have joined us have gone through a level of training as well. And we plan on holding the student simulation on November 30th. I've been sending a lot of notices through Class Dojo and Remind, because this is a very, very, very critical day for all students across the grade levels. And when I say all students, I am referring to pre-K through 12th grades. من فترة قبل آخر نهاية السنة الماضية، كل أساتذتنا والكادر الأكاديمي يلي بيشتغلوا بالمدرسة مرقوا بتمرين آليس. في سيناريو كتير مرقنا فيه. السيناريو الأول إنه نحن اعتمدنا إنه في مسلح بالمدرسة. God forbid of course. أول سيناريو طلب مننا كأكاديميين إنه نعمل باريكيد بقلب الغرفة لحتى نحمي ولحتى ما نعطي entry point للمسلح يدخل على الغرفة، على غرفة المدرسين. سيناريو ثاني اللي مرقنا فيه السنة الماضية هو إنه نقدر نحن نطلع بأمان لبرا المدرسة. والسيناريو الثالث اللي هو السيناريو التقليدي يلي الأولاد معودة عليه، إنه هو أنت بنقدر نعمل لوك داون، إن نسكر الغرفة ونقدر نحتمي بقلب الغرفة. فهيدي السنة حيكون عندنا تمرين كامل شامل لكل الطلاب من مرحلة ما قبل الروضة للمرحلة اللي هي صف 12 بشهر 11 يوم 30 الشهر. Okay, so this is just a summary of what we started last year and what we anticipate to do going into November 30th. So obviously, to have a drill as such, you have to go through several stages. Number one, we have to train the students and put them in the mindset that this is just practice, right? We don't want the students, in heightened anxiety that something is real happening or there is a threat. Absolutely not. But we also want the students to understand how serious it is to be proactive about being trained, alert, always knowing what's the best judgment and how important active listening is in any case of threat, in any case of emergency, right? It could be any type of emergency besides active shooter. It could be a gas leak. It could be a real fire. Who knows? It could be an intruder next door at a vendor, at a company that's close proximity to us. So having the students trained and always equipped with the skills and the strategies and putting the right logic in perspective is always going to be very, very important and going to be very critical. It is really unfortunate for us as parents to see that there were real life scenarios across the state, across the country, where we've had active shooting in the elementary schools, in colleges, in high schools, and sometimes the risk or the threat was an internal thing, or it was somebody that is randomly mad about something and made entryway into the school. So hence why we as a school take this very seriously. It is a huge part of the revised safety handbook. And hence why we're having this informational session with you, because you are going to be getting a lot of questions from your kids. You are going to be having those conversations, unfortunately, with your children. We're just forced at this point as parents to have those conversations with the kids. Okay? So the very first session that started with the older kids, 9 through 12. I was very, very impressed with their readiness. I put them through a lot of scenarios, asked a lot of questions, and believe it or not, they had a lot of great answers. So a lot of the kids have already done a lot of research on their own. أول خطوة بالتمرين والاستعدادية لهيدا الدريل هو إنه نعلم الأهالي ونعلم الطلاب إنه هيدا التمرين لإلهم لمصلحتهم. اليوم بلشنا بتمرين لصف 9 لصف 12. بصراحة كان المشاركة كتير كويسة، والأجوبة يلي أعطونا إياها بالسيناريوهات اللي قدمناها كانت كتير مقنعة. معناته إنه الطالب بلش يعرف قديش هاي الأمور صارت جدية، وقديش هو كطالب لازم يحمي حاله ولازم يكون عنده على الوعي المستمر إنه هاي الأمور ممكن تكون وممكن تصير بأي مكان وبأي زمان. Okay, so the very next set of training, it is going to be for our middle school and our students in 3rd through 5th. Now, for my pre-K through second students, we're not going to hold an assembly for them. We're going to be counting on the administrators to support their classroom homeroom teachers to go into the class and deliver the information in a student-friendly fashion. And my approach with the middle school will be different than what I will be delivering to the elementary. With the secondary, I was as transparent, as direct as possible. We had a very mature conversation about, this situation. Obviously, grade level and age appropriate information and delivery style will have to be implemented. So we're not, again, causing anxiety and we're not thinking that there is a real threat. This is just for practice and for us to be ready, just like we practice fire drills, just like we practice all other safety drills that are already in our safety handbook. So tomorrow we'll be training for the middle schoolers, and then we'll also have training for the 3rd through 5th. For the pre-K through second, the teachers prefer to hold the conversation after we come back from Thanksgiving break. So there isn't that anxiety over break that, I don't want to go back to school. We're going to do this Alice drill, and it's, that Wednesday after we go back. It is very, it's understandable that could happen. And so that's really the plan that we have in place. لطلاب مرحلة المتوسطة ولطلاب المرحلة المتوسطة ساعدوني ثانوية راح يكون التمرين والرابع والخامس الابتدائية عفوا حيكون بكرة. وطبعا حيكون طريقتنا بانه نمرنهم مختلفة. طلاب مرحلة ما قبل الروضة لصف ثاني حتكون التمرين بخصوص هذا الموضوع بعد ما نرجع وبطريقة اللي معلمة بتلاقيها يعني مريحة للطلاب ولعمر الطلاب. فهذا الشيء stage 2, step number 2. Step number 3 obviously is meeting with the families, right? We're having this session today. It's broadcasted live on Facebook. Anybody that could not join the session in person can go back and review it and understand it. The one thing that I want to reiterate and emphasize is that parental presence should not be the case on November 30th. I want you to trust the process, and it is our chance for us to see what went well, what needs to change for the spring, right? We're going to have the support of the Westland Police Department. They know when, where, what time. We have a team that's coming from the Westland Police Department that will be here to support the process. We will have administrators assigned indoors and outdoors to ensure the safety of the students and the staff while we are implementing the Alice drill. So I want the families to just trust the process and trust that we're going to be ready, but there will be mistakes. There may be some gaps. We are anticipating some anxiety with the little ones, and that's okay. But that at least will give us a heads up as to what could potentially happen in a real life case or scenario, God forbid, right? When you practice, when you go in and do something, you reflect about it, you debrief about it with the children, with the staff, and then you make it better next time, okay? So if you have younger ones, 4 years of age, 5 years of age, trust that they'll be okay. Yes.
So this drill is actually, police will actually be entering the building?
The police will not be, they're going to be outside for traffic safety.
Okay.
That's correct. So let me explain to you, this is a great question. One of the parents asked, will the police be entering the building for this drill? No, there is no need for the police to enter the building, but their presence will be around the building when the students are actually evacuating. So now that you've asked that question, I'm going to go ahead and get into what's a drill? What exactly are the children going to go through on November 30th? There will be 3 scenarios, okay? 3 scenarios that will play out on that day. Scenario number 1 will be someone from the main office will be assigned to announce the following. Initiate Alice, initiate Alice. There is a man or woman with a gun in the elementary hallway wearing black pants and a red shirt, and he is near room 140. Students in our school have been trained to know where the elementary hallway is. We have a middle school hallway and we have a high school hallway. Going into this year, we actually separated the middle and the high school hallways so that it's clear that the majority of the all middle school classes are on that side by the library, and then all of our high school classes are in the hallway where we have the art room and the science labs and all that. So the students have that awareness, and why we are holding training is to reiterate this information. We will ask the students during the sessions, well, can you tell me? We'll call on students. When the teachers reiterate this information, they'll be reiterating the locations. But yes, this is exactly what the kids will be hearing, and this is what's going to happen. Since this is going to be scenario 1, and the active shooter is hypothetically in the elementary hallway, students could be secondary and elementary that are taking classes in the elementary hall will go through scenario 1 of barricading. Okay, so they'll barricade the room to prevent any entry into the classroom. فالسيناريو الاولاني اللي نحن نعمل له براكتس نهار 30 الشهر هو انه طلاب المرحله الابتدائيه اللي هو بالممر الابتدائي للمدرسه رح يسمعوا اناونسمنت، وكل المدرسه رح تسمع هيدا الاناونسمنت بتقول انه الثريت الشخص يلي مسلح حيكون بالالمنتري هولوي بهيدا قريب من هيدي الغرفه ولابس بنطلون اسود وشيرت حمراء. اوكي، نحن حندرب الاولاد على شغله انه انت اسمع واعرف وين اللوكيشن. معناته اذا اللوكيشن لهيدا الشخص بالالمنتري معناته انت you barricade لحتى تقدر to eventually evacuate. هذا السيناريو الاول. الشيء الحلو انه نحن خلال الصيفيه قدرنا عملنا what we call safety logs. Over the summer, our safety department has been able to secure our entrances, our entryways with what we call safety locks. Every single classroom and entry way into, like the office, into the gymnasium will have a safety lock. Teachers have them in a place that only the teachers know where they are. And it is known through the manufacturer, through research, that this is going to be a huge safety piece, that no one is able to actually make entry into the class. Now, while this is secure, the teacher is going to work with the students on what we call barricading the classroom. Because yes, it's a safety lock, but is it 100% guaranteed? We don't know. There hasn't been a full, real life situation, God forbid. So extra caution and extra safety measures are always going to be the case in an ALICE situation. In an ALICE drill and real life situation, we don't play victim. We play proactive. We play safety measures. And so they'll be practicing a little bit of barricading. Now, I want you to understand that pre-K through second versus third through fifth versus secondary grades will vary a bit, and that's normal, right? We can't ask our preschool students to be doing this. But please know that the elementary classes typically have a lot more paraprofessional support and paraprofessional presence, which is honestly a plus for that age group. This is what we mean by barricading, in addition to the safety locks that we've installed over the summer everywhere in the building. Okay? When the elementary students are practicing scenario 1, which is the barricade, the secondary students on the east side of the building are actually going to be going to the rally point. Okay? So what that means is that they're going to say, hypothetically speaking, that the intruder is in the elementary hallway. It is safe for me to evacuate. Teachers will be walking their students down to the rally point, and the rally point from that side by exit 8 is going to be Joy Manor, actually Westland Lawn and Snow Equipment, that has been identified by ULA and the Westland Police as the safe rally point. We also have another rally point when we do scenario 2 and students evacuate from this side of the building, which is Joy Manor Banquet and Events, to that side, okay, by the main parking lot. So those are the 2 main rally points. God forbid, in a real situation, when the students evacuate to rally points, typically they would be bused to what we have identified as safe zone / parent pickup. Because in an active shooter situation, parents don't pick up students from the actual building. They pick them up from safe zones where they're typically bused. And that would be the Krogram Middle Belt. That is the closest to us. Everyone around here, if you live here, you know where Krogram Middle Belt is. Okay? فخليني بس ارجع وترجم باختصار اللي عم بحكيه اللي في مكان معين باركينج لوت معين اللي هو قريب من المدرسه اسمه ويستلاند لون اند سنو ايكويبمنت. هيدا هو المكان يلي الطلاب اللي رح يطلعوا من الباركينج لوت اللي ورا اللي هو باركينج لوت الاهالي رح يطلعوا للمكان الامن. بهيدا الوقت بكونوا طلاب المرحله الابتدائيه عم يعملوا باريكيد بقلب الصفوف. Scenario 2, on the other hand, will play as such. Initiate Alice. There is, you know, all that description I just went through. And now the announcement will say, he is by room 173, for instance. Room 173 is in the high school hallway, and we will indicate, we will not be using any vague language. This will be very direct language that will say and specify the hallway, the room location. This is the time where we flip roles. The elementary students and or all students that are on the elementary side or in the elementary hallway, they will evacuate to Joy Manor. And basically there'll be, that's the rally point, safe rally point. We'll have administrators there that will tell them all clear, come back to the building, while the secondary students on the other side are actually practicing to barricade. Okay? Scenario 3 is random. We want to see how the teachers will react to an unknown situation. I obviously will not be announcing what it is here, but it's something where they'll be practicing listening skills, to identify what's the best approach in this scenario. So we'll go through 3 scenarios, rough. How do they make the best decision in the moment? Do we freeze? No. Do we have to counter? Maybe. And that's all part of the training that we will be delivering to the students in the next couple of days. Okay? So the only grade level that has gone through the training is 9 through 12. We wanted to start with them, see what, you know, the overall feel is. Honestly, it's pretty positive. They asked a lot of great questions. The responses were pretty good. And then the next groups. There'll be a lot of reiteration. You'll need to really have a conversation with the kids about this. Explain to them that this is not a real threat. This is just practice, and that police presence is really to ensure that we're safe, because we're going to be walking down on the sidewalk, and it's going to be Joy Road, and it's going to be cold. So send your kids with, you know, their jackets on that day, their gloves. It could be a very cold day. Who knows? It's November 30th. whatever the case being, we're going to be out there. We're going to go straight to the rally points when we evacuate because we want the students to be fully aware of what to expect in the event, God forbid, we ever have to do this for any serious matter. Okay? Our staff is fully familiar with the hallways and their nearest exits. Everybody in the beginning of the year receives the separate training outside of Alice. They do practice it throughout the year as well. Our drills are so quick simply because our staff really practice them a lot. We do it before school, we do during school, and then after school drills as well. And then, you know, we went through different scenarios earlier today with the secondary students as to, in the event of something real, what do you do? In the event you are in the restroom and you're trapped, what do you do? In the event you counter, you know, that intruder is facing you face to face, what do you do? How do you distract, right? That conversation did take place with the secondary students, and it will be altered to fit the age group based on, you know, the different sessions and the different assemblies that we have going on for the other grade levels. So we will continue to be practicing the lockdowns, soft lockdowns also as well, for, you know, matters that come up. Matters will continue to come up. It's not going to be, you know, an active shooter, but we do have other emergencies that we also practice for, and our students do an amazing job. One thing I reiterated to the students is that on the day of the drill, do not use your cell phones. You're going to be putting the cell phones away as usual in the pouch or in the box. Please don't be alarmed. Don't be on alert, trying to text your, you know, your kiddo. How did it go? Are you guys okay? Are you guys safe? I can already read a lot of anxiety on your faces, and that's okay. Those are your babies, right? But please reiterate to them that the devices have to be set aside because, I mean, as much as we want to deliver this information, I do know I have a good crowd this afternoon. We have it broadcasted live on Facebook. There will still be families not aware what's going on November 30th. Although we deliver it through Dojo and Remind and emails, we still have a lot of families that say, well, we didn't know. And then imagine they see, you know, a picture and they see barricaded class or somebody's walking down, Joy, what's going on? It's going to be a huge alert. So if you're connected with families and you didn't see them today, they had no idea what's going on November 30th, let them know. Don't be on alert. We have the support of our staff. Everybody's straight. We have the support of the West End Police. We have a plan, written plan that's being reviewed on all levels. We're practicing. We're doing our best. We're doing this step by step, stage by stage, delivering the information for the best that we can. So اللي عم حاول أنا شجع الأهالي عليه إنه نحكي بهالموضوع مع الأولاد بالبيت، نشدد على أهمية عدم استعمال التليفونات وقت الدريل. كرمال الأهالي يمكن ما يكون عندها علم قديش نحن حاولنا ننشر هذا الموضوع ونحكي عنه ونبعث رسائل خطية ونبعث information ونعمل اجتماع. في أهالي ما حيكون عندها علم شو صاير ب 30 الشهر. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but that is going to be the case. So مهم كتير إنه نشجع أولادنا ما يستخدموا التليفونات. We have a huge number in the school. As much as we try to control these things, we have students that are able to sneak the cell phones. I think it would put parents at such a high alert that is not necessary. Remember, they're with us all day long. They're under our supervision all day long. On this day, we want to see how we as a team will do. And then identify what we will do better for the spring. There will always be room for improvement, okay? So that is going to be on November 30th. For the students, for the parents, as you all know, we've tried as much as possible this year to limit entry into the building unless it's scheduled, unless we know of it. As you all know, dismissal for the elementary students, 3rd through 5th, is endorsed to the best that we can. If we find someone at the door we're not familiar with, we ask, who are you? You know, we haven't seen you picking up the kid before. We're trying as much as possible. We want to bring the families back in. We want those, you know, bleachers full with families all over again, but we want to do it in a wise way, in a safe way. Hence why we encourage when we have family engagement sessions for the parents to be here. I know it's hard. everybody's busy, but it makes a huge difference if you are part of your child's education. حضرتكم انكم تجوا باستمراريه على المدرسه للاجتماعات، تقروا يلي عم ينكتب. بعرف انه it can be too much. نحن مدرستنا من صف ما قبل الروضه لصف 12، يعني في امور كثير على طول. يمكن على الكلاس دوجو وعلى الريمايند all day you're getting something. I know it can be overwhelming, but that's a journey. That's the beauty of an academy like this. Your child going through the journey from when they're in preschool all the way to graduation. Yes, I want to, you know, we want to show off the seniors' accomplishments to somebody whose kid is in kindergarten, because that's eventually what you're going to see with your child. So I know it can be a lot and overwhelming and confusing at times, but please come out, ask questions, follow. There's nothing wrong with that. ما في كتير للأسف متابعة، وما في كتير للأسف يعني انضمام الأهالي بالاجتماعات. كنت يمكن فاكرة اليوم حيكون the whole cafeteria full، لأنه الموضوع موضوع كتير حساس، وموضوع يعني بيخص أولادنا وبخص سلامات how are you. فبليز share this information مع كل الأهالي. أي شيء بخص لما نطلب من الأهالي تيجي please do your best إنكم تكونوا موجودين، تكونوا حاضرين. Because it's 50-50, right? It's a partnership. We give the 50% in your child's education, and you work on the other 50%, right? And this is a very, very critical part of it. لأنه نحن كإداريين مع أولادكم ومع كأكاديميين مع الأولاد يمكن أكثر منكم بالنهار، خصوصاً الأولاد اللي بتتطلع بعد المدرسة لنشاطات، لاجتماعات، ACP ممكن. فبهمنا على طول تكونوا متواجدين. It helps. Your feedback helps a lot. It makes a big difference. So this is the information. This is the summary. هذا الملخص يلي راح يكون ب 30 الشهر. What questions do you have on your mind right now? I'm pretty sure you have questions. And lots of questions. تفضل. Go ahead.
I have a suggestion actually.
Of course. And what I will be doing, because I'll have to reiterate your question or suggestion so that it can be heard for the rest of the families that are following. Go ahead.
So one of the most important things, like your lockdowns, your doors, your security is pretty impressive at this point right now. The weakness that I saw actually is some of the students, some of the children open the door for people who they don't know. Last year, I came into the school twice from not these doors actually, one from the side and one from the back. Because one of the students opened the door for me. So the access is almost impossible, but students needs to be reminded, and this is a very, very important thing that happened twice with
To you.
me. And it was worrisome actually when I saw that it actually told them they were not small kids, they were young, probably like
Adolescents?
yeah,
Yeah.
younger kids.
Yes.
So they should have known better to open the door. And I told them, you shouldn't have opened the door for them.
Right.
So,
So you make a great point. Let me reiterate, this parent's concern is that he's experienced and noticed that a couple times he made entry into the school through someone opening the door, and it happened to be children. This was my very first point that I made today in the assembly with the 9th through 12th grade students. Because with all these security measures, one little mistake, somebody forgetting the door open, it's over, right? Everything you've done, it's over. So yes, we did witness that as well, a lot last year. I want to say a few times, where what we've done this year is that we've revisited our assignments and our admin, positions. Mr. Patterson is our school resource officer. Some of you guys have met him. They've seen him in the family engagement. His role throughout the day, in addition to the admin support and our deans of students, to actually be roaming around and making sure that students aren't doing so. We are often reminding them every single assembly. I want to say maybe this is the 4th assembly as well, where we brought this up. And I believe after the drill, we're going to continue reinforcing and reminding them not to do this. You make a great point. It is one of the biggest concerns all of us have had as parents, as educators, and I don't think there will be enough times where we have to mention this to the kids for their safety and for the security of the entire school. Now, the positive this year is that we have a lot more adult presence. That's also an added level of security that we implemented in our safety, plan going into this school year. And maybe Mr. Patterson can add a little bit to that with your rounds and some of the supervision posts you've given.
So I'll let you know, I'm here from before the kids get here and after all the kids leave. All hours of the day, all I'm doing is walking around the building, making my rounds, making sure all the doors are secure. I myself have witnessed kids, open the door for a parent, a staff member, a FedEx person. I always tell them, I don't care if that's someone you knew since you were in the crib. You do not open the door for them. We don't open the door for anyone. Anyone that I've witnessed that happen, they didn't like Madness afterwards. Because as Ms. Lucy stated, if that's, what these kids are doing or whatever, the entire plan is through us.
Exactly.
There's no point of making, having all these security measures and all these different plans to keep the children safe if kids are open the door for anyone. So I always tell them, I'm like, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's me. Do not open the door. Mom or dad, I don't care. Don't open the door. They know,
Exactly.
Everyone here knows, the protocol for trying to get the building.
Yes.
So.
Yes, and that's why families, parents, I know you've purchased the devices for your kids because you care about your babies, right? And it's an easy access for you to text your child. Some of those instances where, hey, I'm at the main office door, come out, right? Number one, the child got in trouble by the teacher confiscated the phone. What happens next? Well, my mom and my dad has to tell me something important. Well, I'm going straight to the door, right? This is also another scenario. So I do thank you for bringing that up. As parents, this is our biggest fear. As educators, this is our biggest fear. Please depend on the main office. I know it takes us a few more minutes sometimes to do so. Don't text the children or call them while at school. It's unless you really, it's an emergency and it's an actual active situation. That's a different scenario. But here we have everybody that's appointed a job to do so. We're trying to do it in the best that we can, but it does take sometimes additional time, right? It's a lot of families in and out all day. It's a lot of kids in and out all day. But that's what we've done as a school to reiterate that. We will continue. We will even, be intentionally there at some points to really redirect kids. But I will say maybe last year, coming back from the 2 years of COVID, being at home, a lot of the things that we previously established were gone out the door. We went back to the basics. There's a great progress the kiddos are doing this year. Great progress your children are already showing this year. A lot more compliance, a lot more understanding of the expectations, a lot more care and understanding that, this is school, it matters. This is safety, it matters. So there's great progress already. But great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions? في أي سؤال تاني؟ في أي comment تاني? Yes.
How many of your staff are CPR certified?
Say that again.
How many of your staff are CPR certified?
Oh, we all have, I want to say about 10. As far as first aid, we all have to be. Anybody that works directly, like the PE teachers, the coaches, main office, deans, Mr. Patterson, myself, we have to do so. And then we have 4 actually that are certified and have gone to the full training for the ALICE. And then all of our teachers have been actually trained internally through a simulation. تفضلي اكيد.
هلا نحن عم نيجي من برا مثلا بندق الجرس برا بنقول بدنا مثلا طالب بتقولوا لنا فوتوا على الاوفيس انه مشان التوقيع.
صحيح.
لربما اذا اجى واحد وقال انه انا قريب حدا او شيء وبده يفوت على المدرسه.
Great point.
لربما كان حامل سلاح، كيف رح تحكوا انه هو في معه سلاح؟
Great point. So خليني ارجع للسيناريو الاول. The mom was saying, when you screen us at the door, to come in to actually sign our children out, because you can't take your child without signing them out, documenting that. Well, how do we know that the person following us is not someone that could be of a potential threat? So let me tell you this. Please don't ever allow someone to come behind you. ما تخلوا حدا إذا أنتوا فايتين على البيلدينج يفوت وراكم، لأنه the screening process has to be for everybody. مظبوط يا ملا؟ هلا نحن يمكن نعرفكم، يمكن أهالي تاني نحن ما بنعرفها. So الأسئلة اللي بتصير على المين أوفيس، مين أنت بالضبط؟ We pull up the demographic page ونفتح الباور سكول. مظبوط. So خليني اشرح لك نحن شو بنسال. بنفتح الديموغرافيك بيج بالباور سكول بنقول له اعطينا بعض المعلومات. عرفتي؟ ولكن في نقطة كثير مهمة بحب ركز عليها اللي انت قلتيها اول شيء، اذا حتى فات ورانا. Often I see this happening when the families come in, they don't mind allowing the rest of the families to come in as well. No. That breaks the whole screening process. So like I said, we need you guys' help because you're coming into the building, you have that right to come into the building. It feels pretty odd to not have that entry into your child's school, right? Yes, we have some limitations, but at the same time, we want to give you the chance to be here and to interact with us and use the resources that are available to you at school. But please be very mindful and be very careful. يعني اللي عم حاول أنا شدد عليه إنه لما الأهالي بتفوت إذا كان في حدا وراها ننتبه، نقول له لو سمحت أو لو سمحتي خلي المين أوفيس يعمل لك screening. Please.
Does we have our camera systems?
We do. Great point too. يعني لما المين اوفيس عم يعمل لك سكرينينج عرفي انه في كاميرا. فنحن اذا ما بنعرف الشخص بنسال الديموغرافيك questions. So the camera system is always up and going. So when we're screening parents at the door, we do ask them, hey, you're here for what particular reason?
And the hallways are closed too, so.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for bringing that up. So one of our parents brought up a very important point. A lot of the families get mad at us. Well, why can't I go down the hall to just peek at what my baby's doing? You can't go to the hallway during instruction. Why? Because now you're in direct interaction with the kids, unless supervised, right? We want to make sure the safety and the security of the hallways, of the classrooms, that's ultimately, not because we don't want you to see what's happening in the class. We'd love for that to happen. But those are part of the security measures. So we ask you not to be upset at, with us. Nothing against anybody, but that's our job, to protect your kids, right? We have everybody's children we have to protect. So we always ask our parents, please be mindful. You can't be in the hallways during instruction. If you want to speak to a teacher, it is scheduled. Believe it or not, I get sometimes calls that tell me, well, I'm going to come right now to speak to the teacher. Well, that's not going to happen because the teacher has a class to run. I'm not going to leave my job to go run her class or his class. I tell you that. So that's why we schedule appointments, right? So that you can sit down in an office and have a meeting with the teacher. There's nothing wrong with that. Please, okay? So this is a very, very important point that you bring up. The hallways are closed during learning and during instruction, mainly for safety and security. يعني الأهالي ما فيها تمشي بالهالويز لحتى نروح نشيك على الصفوف وعلى الدراسة خلال الدوام. ليه؟ لا حماية وأمانة الطلاب والأساتذة. And I'm pretty sure you can appreciate this. Yes.
We have a question from a parent live on.
Sure.
Ms. Hallis says, on the 30th, are we supposed to pick up the kids from the rally point or from school?
Oh, this actually turned off.
It's all right, you're still.
I'm still. Okay, good.
I unmuted them.
All right, wonderful. I just want to make sure that they're actually hearing me because the phone was supposed to be the audio.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So Ms. Hallis is asking, on the 30th, are we supposed to pick up the kids from the rally point or from school?
So you are not picking up the children. This is a great question. This is just practice. Once we come back into the building, we're going to resume instruction. 9 through 12 has lunch scheduled at 10:10. They're going to enjoy their meal. It's usually pizza on Wednesdays. And life will just resume as normal. So it's just like any other drill. There will be no pickup at the safe zone. It's just a practice. Great, great point. But then I believe they can hear me then if she just asked a question.
Another question.
Yes.
From Tom Masaba, is it okay to wait inside by the front door or do we only wait in the office?
It is okay as long as you're not necessarily in the hallways where instruction is taking place. This is okay. We know who you are, right? We know that you're waiting for your child. Sometimes the office gets pretty, full. We've had some pre-K events before where the office was absolutely full, so you had to wait in the front, and that's okay. That's okay. That's outside of the actual, learning environment, and the kids are usually in the separate hallways, receiving instruction by their parents. And typically we have Ms. Abdul Rasul, our admin support, that's going back and forth, up and about, just doing her rounds as well during those instances. That's it? Other questions? Oh, is she referring to,
She heard that. She said.
okay.
And on the screen, I was saying like, parents are included in to pick up their kids from.
That is in the event, the real situation. Okay? Ultimately, in a real life situation, evacuation is the ultimate thing to do. But for the sake of the drill, we are just going to be practicing the scenarios. Okay? No parent presence. We're going to be the parent that day. We're the parent every day. From 7:30 until 5 some. 6 o'clock, pretty much. Yes.
For that day, November 30, kindergarten will be included as well.
Pre-K as well. And kindergarten. They're tough cookies, believe it or not. You'll be surprised who your child is at school versus who they are at home. Yes.
هذا اللي نعمل يعني في دراسات يعني سبقت أكيد إنه هذا الشيء
هذا مطلوب قانونيا صار. هذا صار مطلوب قانونيا من كل مدارس الولاية.
يعني هو خطوة كبيرة للأطفال إنه
خطوة كبيرة.
أنا ابني أوريدي بخاف لما عملت الفاير
I know.
بعدين بقول لهم بعدين عرفت إنه
Yeah, so حيكون في mental health professionals موجودين متواجدين أكثر مع طلاب المرحلة الابتدائية. عندنا counselors, عندنا social workers. So they'll be present mainly مع طلاب المرحلة الابتدائية. Yes, it is a big step, and that's why we're doing this. And we're planning, and we're trying, and we're trading, and we're talking, and we're not rushing into this. Yes.
Why did you choose November 30th? Is it that was the last year of shooting at Oscar High School?
Why did we pick November 30th? It was just picked based on field trips that were blocked on other days. It was picked based on, it still falls within the fall. It was just picked on the calendar. Has nothing to do with,
We just worried because it's the same day as last year. What happened?
was it? Yeah, it was just incidental. Yeah, because we have, remember, we're a pre-K through 12. And so we have a lot of things that typically go on. So it's just based on the school calendar. They'll be fine. I promise.
I hope they don't just keep the kids home because they.
Yeah,
need
don't
this
keep the kids
training.
home. It's gonna be a disadvantage. Do not keep the children home. It will be a big disadvantage to them not to be part of a drill this critical. We have to face our fears, right?
Based on this comment, Ms. Hallis is also asking, is there a video that we can post on our communication platforms for the kids to watch at home for Alice training?
Absolutely. That's what the admin team plans to do on a Friday, where we will be just modeling quickly what we're already delivering in the training session. So there'll be a wrap-up video and sort of a summary that I'll be posting in English, Arabic, and Persian. That's really the next step as well as far as communication is concerned. Yeah? Yes.
Okay, so in the event, when this is going on, how do they know? Okay, you say that the shooter is in hall 140, but how do they know? What if you can't, really make an announcement and say that? So how will, you all know that it's safe to even leave out the classroom?
So are you saying, God forbid, in the event of a real active
Right,
shooting,
yeah.
and you can't get to the announcement? That's a great question. How will the students and the teachers know? So there is communication between all teachers and all administrators. We as a school, as an institution, we don't tell our teachers not to use your cell phones, right? We have to communicate with all of our team members throughout the day. So that's hence how we will be, in the worst case scenario, if we're unable to get to the actual announcements, how we will deliver this information. Now, from there, our safety team would collaborate with the Westland Police Department, and in the event of an active shooter situation, the police takes over. You know what I mean? And our job as educators is to ensure responding to police orders as to when it's safe to evacuate. And in the event we actually have to go to rally points and to the safe zone for Kroger, it is our job to keep roster of all of the children so that when it's time for the parent to pick them up, you know, you're counting on that teacher that was with your child to give your child back. That is, God forbid, in the event something real happens. But for the sake of the drill, let me clarify. This is just practice. It's just a drill. That will not be happening. Great question. I'm loving this because it's a great eye opener for many, many things, right? Yes.
إذا إجى حدا من الطلاب على المدرسة في شنطات أو أي شيء أي آلة حادة يعني كيف فيكم تعرفوا إنه هالطالب في معه شيء بشنطاته يعني؟
هلا إذا إجينا خبر طبعا نحن ما عم نفتش. So the question that was asked, let me just reiterate in English. If in the event somebody comes to school, a student specifically, and has a sharp object or a weapon in their backpack, obviously we don't check backpacks every single day. But anytime, I tell you this, and the two gentlemen know, and Ms. Karut knows in the event of elementary, we have any reasonable suspicion, oh, believe me, we are checking and we are doing a search immediately. And let me tell you something, there are always situations where we do that. فخليني خبرك طبعا نحن ما عم بنفتش الشناتي طبعا، بس لما يكون عندنا اي شك ضئيل يما كبير, as long as it's reasonable, نحن على طول بصير في تفتيش, بصير في immediate removal. No taking chances tolerated. So, you know, doesn't matter. But we do it in a very timely, quick, conducive manner. And forget even weapons and sharp objects. We do a search for even illegal substances, for vape, for any other illegal item that's not allowed to be on school grounds. So we do that, and we do that for many, many years. بتصير هاي الأمور، أنتوا ما بتعرفوا فيها بس هاي الأمور بتصير على طول بتصير. يمكن أولادكم بيقولوا لكم هيك اليوم صار. You have to do that. طبعا.
بس كمان اولادنا ما يحطوا الشنطه على السكول.
That's a great point. نحن عادة طلابنا مطلوب منهم يحطوا الشنط باللاكر. هلا يمكن إذا صارت حدا حس في anything suspicious بيصلنا الخبر دغري. الأساتذة لما يفوت الطالب على الصف بيقولوا لهم رجع شنطتك على اللوكر. That's the approach usually we take. That's why lockers are not allowed in the classrooms. They're supposed to be, or backpacks are not allowed in the lockers. They're supposed to stay. Backpacks are not allowed in the classrooms. They're supposed to stay in the lockers.
Always in the locker.
There you go.
They're gonna be there.
I went through all three scenarios. All three scenarios. It's been a long week.
And even this year, Ms. Lucy was just emphasizing that with every bell ring, the teachers are at the door.
Yes.
Making sure
They're doing
that-
such an awesome job.
Yeah.
They're at the door. They're standing with their boxes. That's in the 6 through 12. Put your cell phone in the box. No backpack. Do you have your binder? We're always present in the classrooms. Sometimes they feel it's too much. Why are you doing this? But that's okay. Hate us now, like us later.
And doing hallway sweeps.
We're doing hallway sweeps. Actually, our transitional tardiness is really amazing, but we just like make it sound like it's horrible for the kids. But
Even during dismissal too. There's not admins.
yeah, everybody. We're trying our best. We're trying our best to the best that we can. All right, we're expecting students in here in the next 5 minutes, so I'm going to ask families to just, at this point, get back, not the cars, maybe line up for dismissal is in 10 more minutes, or if you want to stay in the car if it's too cold, because our elementary students are about to come in the next 5 minutes for dismissal. If you have more questions, I'm only an email away, I'm only a message away, I'm only a call away, but I have to call you back if I'm in the middle of a classroom or a meeting. Thank you very, very, very much for coming, and those of you that were watching virtually. Ms. Akanan, do we want to, did you enjoy this?